What's up, Nat? I guess before I set up, I want to show you guys the setup, I guess, real quick. So this is the setup. So I'm inside. I'm away from the fire hydrant, which is over there by the statue. But yep, as you can see, this is where I'm going to be set up. Students walking from all directions. A lot of students coming from that side, but there's the table right there. That's what it looks like. So, alrighty. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. Yeah, is that it's that kind of weather where when you're in direct sunlight, you can feel a little warm, right? But when you're in the shade, you know, it feels a little cold. It's that kind of weather right now. I thought it was gonna be a little colder than it is. So I even brought a sweater just in case and a long sleeve. But it's pretty warm right here where I'm at, so for sure I won't be needing the sweater. Probably roll up my sleeves a bit. Kind of warm. But yeah, I'm set up already. I know it's been a while since my last live, you know, going on 2 months, you know, over a month and a half. But yeah, I'm back out here. It is finals week. So this is like the last week before winter break. So it was a last minute thing too. I wasn't even gonna come out today, but one of my jobs rescheduled that I had scheduled today. So I figured might as well, I took it like a sign, like, you know, this will be the last opportunity I get it in the year to come to a university. Because again, after this week, it's winter break, so most universities are gonna be ghost towns. So yeah, today was the day, and yeah, I just made it happen. So hopefully we get a few conversations, but at the end of the day, you know, reality doesn't change. Whether I have conversations today or not, reality is not going to change. So reality is what it is. So which brings me to the title of the video, right? Sometimes the simplest things can be overlooked, right? And that happens even more when you have a bias. So when people have a bias towards something they want to be true, then people are gonna overlook the simplest things. You know, people are gonna overlook their own common sense. You know, they're gonna place trust in the person that's giving them information, you know, that contradicts their common sense. But again, they're gonna overlook that because again they have a bias. You know, and that's exactly what we're seeing with the shape of the earth topic. You know, people seem to overlook the simplest things, like water being level, for example. It's one of the simplest things, you know, that we can understand to debunk the globe, right? Obviously, buoyancy and what's required for buoyancy as well, you know, is like the simplest things that debunk the globe, in my opinion. And those are the things that are most overlooked, right? And then, again, it comes back to people having a bias, right? Globe earthers, you know, will deny water being level because they have a bias towards the globe earth, right? And they also have a bias, you know, and defend the globe earth, for example, with buoyancy. So buoyancy, again, contradicts the globe earth. It basically exposes, you know, gravity, as a lie. In other words, the pulling force of gravity as a lie. But yet people would just overlook, the simplicity of what's required for buoyancy in favor of an image, in favor of a bias, right? So again, it all comes back to people overlook the simplest things a lot because they have trust in other people, So people place a lot of trust, a lot of blind trust, and that's how, a lot of people are swayed into believing nonsense, right? And overlook the simplest things, right? So yeah, I just thought, it was cool to highlight that. Let me just say hi to the chat. Give me 1 sec. Capivine, Simon, Christy, what's up everyone? Everyone else watching as well. Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, I've just been busy lately with just bills piling up and stuff like that. So I've been having to work a little bit more, which kind of takes the time, to come out here and do this, which is one of the reasons why I haven't came out. Yeah, it's just the system, It just has us in a tight grip, right? And that grip is getting tighter and tighter by the day, So it's only getting harder and harder to find free time, with bills going up, rent, everything going up. It's harder to find free time to come out and do things like this, because we're slaves to the system at the end of the day. We're slaves to the dollar. We're slaves to the currency that we use. People think that using the currency that we use liberates us, right? People have this idea that money liberates you. It gives you freedom, right? But that's just, it's an illusion. That's what it comes down to. Money giving you freedom is just an illusion, because in reality, it's the very tool that's being used to enslave you. So the irony there, people believe that money, having a lot of money, frees you. The irony is that it enslaves you, and the more money you have, the more reliant you become of it, and you become more of a slave to it. So again, this whole idea of money, of giving people freedom is just an illusion. It's not real. It only exists in people's minds, right? It might give you like small moments of relief or small moments of joy, and all that. But you have to be kind of like in that mindset, where you accept government and you accept everything that they're telling you, and that's like the only way that you can kind of like be in that mindset where you actually believe money is actually freeing you. Yeah. So you have to be brainwashed, in other words. Because once you break through the brainwashing that government is putting on us, then you start seeing through all the bullshit. You start seeing through the economy. You start seeing it as a tool, and they're using it against us. For what? To control us. Money is a tool that's being used to control us. So a lot of people think that, they lie to us about the shape of the earth for money, and all that. And I'm not gonna lie, yeah, they do lie for money. They steal a lot of money and all that. But that's not the main reason why we're being lied to on a mass scale. It's all about control at the end of the day. Money doesn't even have real value. Money only has value because we give it value. We accept the value that they put on the currency, and that's why it has value, because we put the trust in it. We believe in it. But it's all, again, this whole system is just based on trust, and lies, pretty much. So it doesn't have a strong foundation. This system does not have a strong foundation. So, okay, I think I'm gonna get a couple conversations. Oh, maybe not. Tempa, what's up? Look, there's another table set up over there. I don't know if you guys could see it. While the students are walking, and there's actually shade right there, but they're off to the side. Maybe I'll post up there next time. You know, on the side over there. Looks like it would be a good spot. I mean, this is a great spot. It's just that the sun's literally in my face. That's the only reason why I'm like not stoked about it, but it's fine. What's up, Orez? All right, so I wanted to cover something. I did make a GIF out of it. So there's this demonstration that Execrate 200, Andrew did, and I think it's a very telling experiment. Here, let me see. Should be in here. I'll add both. Okay, so just real quick, before I get into it. So, to cover all the bases, right? When we're talking about free fall, right? When something is in free fall, right? Right? There is three, I guess, claims or three possibilities, right? Of what is happening in free fall, right? I think that's the biggest, I would say the biggest question that people should be asking, again, regarding the topic about the shape of the Earth, because it has to do with the pulling force of gravity and debunking gravity, but it goes further than that, and I'm going to explain. So again, when you drop something into free fall, the three possibilities is one, which is what the globe Earth and stationary flat earthers claim, is that objects accelerate down in free fall as soon as you release them. So again, when you release the object in free fall, it automatically accelerates down towards the Earth because there's some kind of force, magical force from the Earth, you know, that's pulling it down, right? Flat earthers would deny that it's a force. They would just say that it just moves because it was programmed to move, right? Regardless, they both claim that objects accelerate down in free fall. However, we know that that's not the case because basic accelerometers, analog accelerometers, and digital accelerometers all show that there is no physical downwards acceleration in free fall, you know. So right off the bat, you know, the first, you know, claim, I guess, about objects in free fall accelerating down is dismissed, is debunked at that point, because accelerometers show that there is no displacement, there is no force, there is no vector in the downwards position, right? So now we're left with, when you release the object, it decelerates, right? And then the Earth catches up. Or this other claim from accelerating earthers is that when you release an object into free fall, it doesn't decelerate. It just maintains its velocity that it had when you released it, so it remains at a constant velocity now, and the Earth underneath is accelerating up to catch up to it, right? So those are the three claims, is that one, it accelerates down, right? Two, it decelerates, right? And then the Earth just catches up again because we got that difference in speed from the deceleration, so the Earth's able to catch up, right? Or we got the third option, which is it doesn't decelerate. It maintains its velocity that it had the second that you released it, right before you released it. Whatever velocity or speed that it had, that's the speed that it's going to maintain. And because the Earth is still accelerating underneath, the difference in speed is coming from the accelerating Earth, right? Increasing its speed, and then basically catches up to this. And that's why dense objects would displace down if the Earth was accelerating up, increasing speed, right, to infinity. It's because, again, this is just maintaining a constant velocity, and the Earth is accelerating underneath, right? So those are the three options. So we know that the first option, objects accelerating down, is debunked for sure, right? We know that, right? So now we're left, what's happening then in free fall? Decelerating or constant velocity, right? So let me show you this experiment. Dell covered this, by the way, and he gave a really good explanation already, and I'm just gonna elaborate on it, you know, because I think it's a really, really important think that we actually all overlooked, in my opinion. It's very simple to understand, yet I overlooked it. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have overlooked it. So I just wanted to highlight it and then just kind of put it into perspective, right? So here, let me put this demonstration up. Here we go. Okay. So I'm sure most of you, here, let me make this smaller. Yeah, let me make this smaller. It's pretty big. There we go. That's better. Okay. So here we have Andrew. And this was a really good drop test because he did it from like the top of a building, which is really good. You know, I was gonna do one like that, but I was, he already has one and it looks really good, you know, so might as well use it. So credit to Andrew for this. I'll post his link in the chat in a bit. But again, so free fall, right? So here's the problem with accelerating Earth, right? And denying that there is a deceleration. So right here, when Andrew is holding the vessel, right before he releases it, we see that there is displacement of the steel ball, right? It's being left behind, right? So let's take the accelerating Earth claim, right? So that steel ball is not decelerating when it appears to go down, right? It's not decelerating. It's maintaining a constant velocity, right? And the reason why it's displacing down is because the container that Andrew's holding, and Andrew himself as well, it's still accelerating up, right? Increasing the speed. So when that steel ball is being left behind, the difference in speed between the steel ball and the container, we'll say it's like 10 miles an hour, right? Which is 4.9 meters per second in the first second. We'll say 4.9 meters, which is about 10 miles an hour. So if there's a 10 mile an hour difference between the steel ball and the container, you know, and that's why, you know, the steel ball is being displaced because it's being left behind because the container has a greater speed now, again, because the steel ball is no longer being pushed up. So it's not decelerating, it's maintaining a constant speed. Again, there's a 10 mile an hour difference in speed between the steel ball and the container. But as soon as Andrew releases the container, that 10 mile difference in speed between the steel ball and the container vanishes in an instant. So what happened? There was a 10 mile an hour difference between the steel ball and the container that Andrew released. And if you're denying that the container decelerated to match the deceleration speed of the steel ball, because again, if you deny deceleration, then that constant speed of the container being released should maintain that greater speed than the steel ball by 10 miles an hour. In other words, the steel ball should still be displaced at 10 mile an hour difference than the container. But what do we see? That the steel ball and the container basically even out. So the net force of 10 that was there between the steel ball and the container vanishes. So if the container didn't decelerate to match the steel ball speed, then the only logical conclusion was that the steel ball accelerated to meet the speed of the container. Because remember, when the steel ball is falling, it's at a slower speed than the container with water in it. So when you release the container, if the container didn't decelerate to match the deceleration of the steel ball, then the only conclusion is that the steel ball accelerated to match the speed of the container that's in free fall. Which in my opinion is completely ridiculous. You have to implement some voodoo magical force that can accelerate the steel ball the instant you release it so that it can match the container that's in free fall as well now. So in my opinion, dropping different dense objects slightly seconds apart will show that those objects are decelerating relative to each other, you know? Because if they weren't decelerating relative to each other, then the difference in speed between the two objects will remain the same when they're in free fall. Because again, nothing decelerates, so everything maintains its speed when it's in free fall. So if the steel ball has a slower speed than the container, and then you release the container after, then that difference in speed should still be there, but it's not. So therefore, you would have to claim that the steel ball somehow accelerated to catch up to the container that's in free fall so that they both fall at the same rate, so that they're both falling at the same speed, which is completely ridiculous in my opinion. So this simple observation, in my opinion, debunks that objects maintain a constant velocity in free fall, because we can clearly see that that's not the case. That constant velocity between the steel ball and the and the difference in speed between the steel ball and the container vanishes as soon as you let the container go as well, which shouldn't, because the container didn't decelerate apparently. So therefore the steel ball had to accelerate to match the speed of the container, which is completely ridiculous in my opinion. This shows, in my opinion, that everything decelerates at the same rate. You know, otherwise you have to believe that there's some magical force that can accelerate the steel ball to match the container when it's falling, right? And same thing with the bubble. The bubble has a greater speed than the container itself and the earth, you could say, because the bubble is rising at a faster rate than the container, which is the same speed as the earth while you're connected to the earth, right? So the bubble clearly shows a deceleration as soon as you release it. Or are you going to say that the whole container and the steel ball accelerated to match the speed of the bubble? Or the simple conclusion is that the bubble decelerated at the same rate that the container is decelerating, and that's why it stopped moving through the medium, because they're both decelerating at the same rate along with the steel ball as well, and that's why nothing displaces. That is in my opinion, Occam's razor will show that the simplest explanation is that everything decelerates at the same rate in freefall. Again, if you're claiming the constant velocity in freefall, then that is easily debunked by the fact that the steel ball catches up to the container, which is physically impossible. What's pushing up the steel ball? What's giving it the force to accelerate to catch up to the container? You see what I'm saying? So accelerating Earth, in my opinion, does not make sense whatsoever. And again, if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, well, if you're in a train, you know, going 200 miles an hour, 300 miles an hour, and my water stays level, well then, do you think that a train, a man-made device, is going to have a greater force than the Earth itself? To expect that the train to overcome the Earth's force at a constant speed? You would have to assume that the train, a man-made device, has a greater force than the Earth itself, so it should be able to overcome it at a 300 miles an hour constant speed. So if it doesn't, then that means the Earth must be accelerating, right? Nope. In my opinion, is that speed is not strong enough. The force is not great enough to overcome the Earth's force. So that's why the water still stays level, in my opinion. You know, we cannot bring matter to be completely stationary to be able to run tests, to be able to say like, okay, there is no resistance or displacement at a constant speed. We can't isolate matter like that and have it completely motionless to be able to run tests like that. We cannot eliminate the Earth's vector, is my point. So doing tests, you know, to debunk the Earth, you know, to debunk the constant velocity while you're connected to the Earth running these tests, you know, it just doesn't make any sense to me how anyone could take these experiments and automatically jump to the conclusion that the Earth has to be accelerating now, because again, a train going at a constant 300 miles an hour doesn't cause displacement, so therefore Earth is accelerating up. Again, that doesn't make any sense to me. You know, you're not overcoming the Earth's force with the train. I hate to say it. And for you to jump from that to that conclusion, to me, is not very smart, I guess, in my opinion, I guess. You know, again, this simple demonstration shows that there is no constant speed in freefall. This shows that everything decelerates at the same rate. So whatever is causing the resistance of matter, whatever is creating this resistance to slow matter down, is proportional to an object, to an object's mass. So it affects it all equally. You know, that's what these tests show, in my opinion. Again, the difference in speed between the steel ball and the container vanishes. And if you're claiming constant velocity in freefall, that shouldn't happen. The only way that would happen is if the container decelerates to match the steel ball, or the steel ball accelerated to match the container. So which one is it going to be? Right? So that's what it comes down to. That's how easily accelerating Earth is debunked, in my opinion. This simple observation debunks it. You know. Now I know Jason responded to this, and I think his response was completely irrelevant to the topic or to the points being made here. So he's talking about a train moving at a constant 100 miles an hour. Again, the Earth is not moving at a constant in his model, it's accelerating, but okay, a constant. And then he used a person walking backwards inside the train, which, first of all, the person is connected to the bus, the steel ball wasn't being pushed up by the container when it was appearing to go in the opposite direction. They were both, the steel ball and the container were both moving in the same direction. It's just that the steel ball is already being left behind, because this is still accelerating and the steel ball was at a constant speed, so it was still being left behind. So to say that, oh, a person walking backwards in a train or a bus, you know, and the bus is going 100 miles an hour, and then the person stops walking, like, I don't understand how the fuck that example has anything to do with what I just presented. And then just to say, oh, you just don't understand relative motion. You just don't understand relative motion. That's why, you know. And then give this example with the train moving at a constant, which again, the Earth is not moving at a constant, and the steel ball that's falling through the container is not being pushed up by the container. It's actually being left behind now. So the person walking backwards in this bus or train is a completely false equivalent. That whole experiment, thought experiment or whatever, was a complete misrepresentation of what was being asked and what was being shown. You know, so just saying, oh, you don't understand relative motion, that's not an answer. So I kind of wanted to do like a presentation of this, but I was just like, fuck, I'm just gonna like freestyle it. So hopefully I was able to get my point across. I might go back, you know, to that topic and just to iron things out, but that's what it comes down to, in my opinion. You know, these drop tests of density objects being dropped at different times shows that they are decelerating relative to each other. It doesn't show that they're maintaining a constant speed relative to each other. That's not what we observe. We observe that there is a net force when an object is falling through a container, and then when you release the container, that net force vanishes between the two. So what's happening? Is it all being decelerated together? Or is the steel ball accelerating to catch up to the bottle as soon as you release it? Like, how does the steel ball know to accelerate? Okay, you release it and the steel ball knows, okay, accelerate now. Like, how? What's pushing up the steel ball? Because the water can't push it up. It's not dense enough. So what the fuck accelerates the steel ball to catch up to the container so that it all falls together? Magic. It's magic. That's what it is. It's magic. Just believe it. You know, just trust me. Trust me. You know, just trust me. It's just relative motion. Trust me. You know. So yeah, it's literally that simple, in my opinion. You know, and that's why I can't take the accelerating Earth serious. And that's just one of many other things that don't make sense. You know, but I think this is one of the main things. I think should be the main point to highlight, because he can't go around this. Can't go around it. That's what happens in reality. The steel ball doesn't fall through the medium anymore. Which again, if you're claiming everything maintains a constant velocity and nothing loses momentum in free fall, then that displacement should still be occurring, even if it's in free fall. Because again, the container has a higher velocity than the steel ball, so that should still be there. Nothing's being decelerated. So the difference in speed between the two should still be there. So the steel ball should still be left behind at 10 miles an hour. Maybe it shouldn't increase anymore because the bottle's not accelerating anymore, but that 10 mile an hour difference should still be there. So it should be falling at 10 mile an hour constant through the medium, but it doesn't. It catches up, right? And that's because, in my opinion, it literally clearly shows that it's all being decelerated at the same rate. And whatever is causing this deceleration, we call inertia, right? And in my opinion, inertia, again, how it affects matter, it's proportional to an object's mass. So the more mass an object has, the more resistance it's going to have. The less mass an object has, the less resistance it's going to have. And that's why everything decelerates at the same rate. You know. So in my opinion, that's like the only logical conclusion based on the demonstrations and based on these experiments of density drop tests. You know. All right, I'm gonna read the chat, see if anybody has anything to add, or maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I missed something. I don't know. Let me see. What's up, Andrew? Here, let me go ahead and share Andrew's channel, because Andrew has a lot of really good experiments that I, you know, recommend people check out. So here, let me go ahead and share his channel real quick. Okay. All right, so that's Andrew's channel. For anyone that wants to check it out, I highly recommend it. He has a lot of good experiments that are really, really thought-provoking. And again, the more people that look at him, the better, because again, we tend to overlook things, you know. I can see something that somebody else doesn't see, you know, someone else can see something I don't see. So the more minds are focused in this topic, and they're focused in these demonstrations and focused in this, you know, then the better, you know. So, okay, let me read some of these. So again, anybody disagrees with what I just presented, you know, maybe if you don't even understand it, you know, let me know. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, at the end of the day, again, whether the Earth is accelerating or at constant speed, again, it's irrelevant, you know, it's irrelevant. The fact is that the Earth pushing up debunks the entire heliocentric model. That's what we should be focusing on, you know. That should be, that we have the tools to debunk the globe Earth from the core, right? All of the tools are there. So why are we focusing on something else? Right? That's the way I see it. You know, it's like talking about this is just taking the attention from debunking the globe Earth to something else now, like talking about the speed of the Earth, you know, and it's like, that's irrelevant to me at the end of the day. You know, I actually don't care whether the Earth is accelerating or constant speed. I actually don't care. You know, so again, I only covered this just because it was something, you know, that just clicked in my head. It makes perfect sense. People that claim objects don't decelerate in free fall, again, that simple demonstration, in my opinion, debunks that claim. You know, in my opinion, that shows that dense objects that are dropped in free fall at different times, you know, seconds apart from each other, shows that they are decelerating relative to each other. That's what's happening. Again, you would have to believe in magic and magical forces that can accelerate, you know, a dense object, you know, for example, a steel ball, to match the speed of the container that's in free fall as well. So that doesn't make any sense to me. So again, yeah. If anyone has any questions, if there's something that you didn't understand, let me know. If you disagree with it, let me know. I would love to hear your explanation, you know, to why you disagree with it, you know. Manuel M. People think that a hot air balloon rises due to the difference in density between the colder outside air and the warmer air inside the balloon, which creates buoyancy. What can be said to counter this? So in order to recreate buoyancy here in reality, practically, you require two things, which, yes, it's a density difference. So you need less dense gas, you know, within a medium that's more dense, right? So you do need a density difference, but they're missing the second part. You need two things. So the density difference is the first, and the second one is you need a force. So the air, again, the colder air outside pushing the warmer air inside, again, the air outside just doesn't push in a particular direction for no reason. So the air has to be pushed as well, because air cannot move itself. So something has to be pushing the air to be able to push a less dense gas like hot air or helium. So you still require a force, you require a motion vector of matter. So matter still has to be in motion to create motion, because a buoyant object moving, it's matter that's in motion. So we understand helium balloon or hot air cannot move itself, so it requires the more dense air to push it. But we understand, you know, just because air is more dense, that doesn't mean that it has properties to move itself now. No, it's just more dense, that's it. You still require something else to move that air to be able to push a helium balloon or a hot air balloon. And that's where the chain reaction shows that it's the Earth itself, the literal motion, the upwards motion of the Earth is what's pushing the air up, which then is able to push up less dense gases like hot air balloons or helium balloons. So yes, you require a density difference, but you also require a force. You require a motion vector. So what do you call it? These motionless flat earthers, for example, that claim density and buoyancy, are in complete denial of a force that, you know, that is required to move matter. They think matter can move itself just because it's programmed to do so, I guess. And that's nonsense. That's retarded. I mean, for lack of a better term, you know, matter cannot move itself. But yet, motionless flat earthers believe that density and buoyancy can create itself. But again, you can't. It requires a force, and depending on the direction of the force, that's going to dictate the density layers. You know, because again, the density layers don't create themselves. They're subject to a force. They're subject to a motion vector, and based on their relative densities, that's how they stack themselves. You know, accordingly. You know, because there's a force. You know, they don't stack themselves per se, but that's the orientation that they take from more dense to less dense, because the more dense is able to push the less dense. You know. So it's literally just that simple. You know. I know I kind of over-explained there, but that's what it comes down to. What's up, Dal? Nice to see you too. Yep. Density gradients, it's an effect of an upwards motion. Exactly. Marky, how do people... Can I have some of your weather, William? It's pissed down here with rain over here in Newcastle for weeks. Oh, dang. Right? No, yeah. I mean, I can't complain. The weather is nice. Yep. Tina, what's up? Ice White Shut. Yep. So yeah, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, since this is finals week, I did have a feeling that most students are just gonna be like stressed out about their finals, or, you know, just focused on the finals, that maybe they're not gonna have the time or the will to want to stop and have a random chat, you know. So it was a risk I was willing to take. Again, if I didn't come out today, I was gonna have to wait till next year. So I was like, fuck it, just take a chance, you know. The job that I had scheduled canceled, so I took it as a sign, so fuck it. So yeah, hopefully we get at least one. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep my eyes open because the sun's like literally right in front of me. Fuck. God dang it. Where does the wind come from? What is the force behind it? So the reason why there's winds or wind is because there's different pockets of air pressure, you could say. You know, the air here on Earth is not all at one temperature. So there's gonna be warmer areas, you know, and colder areas, and basically the wind basically just flows from cold to hot. So that's why the wind blows, is because, you know, we have a heat source like the sun, for example, that heats up different parts of the Earth, which essentially warms up the air as well. And again, there's gonna be warm, you know, pockets of air and colder part, and then the air just rushes from cold to warm. And again, that's how you get wind flow. You know, again, it just changes in pressure. And it happens again because there is a force here on Earth. You know, without a force, nothing moves. Without motion of the Earth, nothing moves. Nothing. You know. Maybe, I mean, if maybe your heart would still beat, right? If the Earth was to stop. So your heart would still be pumping, I would assume, right? So I guess that would still be moving to an extent, but yeah. For how long though, right? The heart won't be able to pump blood to your feet though, so your feet will go numb. You won't be able to walk. The reason why the blood's able to reach your feet when your heart pumps is because there's displacement here on Earth. So blood, you know, that's why the heart's closer to our head, because when it pumps blood, it has to reach our brain, right? It doesn't have to be close to our feet because displacement does that for us. The force of the Earth, so liquids displace down, so that's why blood reaches our feet, and that's why our feet don't get numb, because the Earth's force. You remove the Earth's force, then the heart pumping the blood is not going to really reach your feet. It's not going to be strong enough because it's too far away, right? So we're all going to be amputated from the knee down because our legs are going to be useless. We won't have blood flow down there without the Earth's motion. You know. So yeah, no worries, Manuel. But yeah, even our bloods, the internal components of our bodies rely on the force of the Earth. So that's why it trips me the fuck out when motionless flat earthers completely deny that the Earth is exerting a force. Because we can test that the force is present when we're connected to it, and when we're not connected to it, that force vanishes. So you know how our bodies react to the force of the Earth? Again, by the fact that blood displaces, the fact that our internal gyroscope is calibrated, showing us that we're right side up. You know, all of these different components that are in our bodies show us that there is a force present, right? But yet when we're in free fall, all of those components in our bodies just don't work, just for no reason. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's because there is no force there anymore. So our bodies are not reacting to that force anymore, you know, because it's not there. You know, so for motionless flat earthers to completely deny that the Earth exerts a force when there's a direct correlation when we're connected to the Earth from when we're not, how can you deny that? How can you deny that simple fact that shows that there's a force present when connected to the Earth, but when you're disconnected from the Earth, that force vanishes? All the effects of a force vanish. Oh, but there is no force. You know, when you're connected to the Earth, there's no force. The Earth doesn't exert a force. Like, what? You know? So that's where motionless flat earthers have lost the plot, in my opinion. You know? Because at least the globe Earth acknowledges the force. Obviously, they inverted the force, you know, and inverted the whole Earth in general from being a level plane on the surface to being a concave sphere that we live on now. So all the globe Earth did was just invert the physics. Motionless flat earthers deny the physics, and globe earthers inverted the physics. So they're both fucking arguing nonsense. This whole globe Earth versus motionless flat Earth, like, they're fucking debating nonsense. That's how you control a debate. you control the opposition as well. That's where the controlled opposition comes in. That's where the motionless flat Earth comes in. It's the controlled opposition. They're talking a bunch of nonsense, you know, versus the globe Earth, which is a bunch of nonsense. So it's nonsense versus nonsense. Where do you think that's gonna go? You really think it's gonna move forward when we're trying to argue nonsense to prove their nonsense wrong with more nonsense? Like, it's retarded. It's not gonna go nowhere, you know? So again, the tools are there. You know, the physics are there. You know, accelerometers are there. The behavior of water's there. You know, it's just there to be understood. That's it. It's not gonna change. I don't give a fuck if you believe in Mandela effect or the things could change and reality's changing, and physics is not gonna change. Reality is what it is. You know. That's why we have laws of physics. You know, that's why they're laws, because they can't be broken. A human being cannot walk on water. That's a physical law. We're bound to physical laws. I don't give a fuck what anybody believes or what anybody thinks. If you deny that we're bound by physical laws that we cannot overwrite, then you're a fucking lunatic. You're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy if you deny that there's physical laws that we're bound to. We cannot run through walls. Matter cannot move through matter without consequences, without without cause and effect. The effect will be you smash yourself into that wall. And if you're gonna go through it, you're gonna have to break through it. You can't just walk through it. That's not reality. You know, that's a physical law that we're bound to. You know, just like walking on water, just like flying, you know. These are simple things, how matter behaves, water being level when contained and at rest. That is a physical law. You know, so these physical laws extend to the shape of the earth. And that's why the globe earth is impossible. Because the globe earth is trying to tell you that, well, these physical laws don't affect the globe earth. You know, the globe earth concept has different laws, right? Different laws that nobody else can test or verify, but believe me, you know, they're laws, right? Like people believing that the pulling force of gravity is a law, for example. Even though it contradicts every practical experiment here on Earth, but it's a law, right? People believe it's a law, even though the mainstream clearly acknowledges that it's just a theory. But people want to believe that it's a law, right? Because they have a bias. Again, they're overlooking the simplest things, you know. Accelerometers, for example. Accelerometers is one of the simplest things you can understand, comprehend, and use to debunk the globe Earth. And a stationary flat Earth, for that matter. So again, we're bound to physical laws in this reality, and nobody can break them. Not even God. Not even God himself can break physical laws here. Even though people believe that, right? Jesus walked on water, right? Whoa, Jesus walked on water. What? He you know, he did all these crazy things that nobody else could do that defy physics, right? Oh, whoa. See, God can break the laws of physics, right? See, you get people to believe stuff like that, they're gonna believe anything. You know? So the fact is, nobody can break the physical laws here. Not even God himself. That's a fact. If you think that that is the case, show me. Show me someone, anyone, defying the laws of physics, breaking the laws of physics. Not gonna be able to. You know, it's impossible. So that's what it comes down to, you know. The physical laws here cannot be broken, and they are what they are. It's not gonna change, and people just need to accept it already and move forward, because life sucks. Let's be real. I would rather focus on making life better, you know, for everyone, you know, whatever that may be. Again, my mind's not there yet because we're stuck believing in fucking Santa Claus fairy tale stories, giving relevance to that and building a life around fucking Santa Claus fairy tale stories. Like, come on, how the fuck can I focus, you know, on living a better life when the majority of people around me are like have a child mentality, are easily swayed, they have no common sense whatsoever, you know? So how is that gonna work? It's not gonna work. You know? So it's a numbers game. I hate to say it. We're playing a game. We shouldn't be playing a game. We should be living our lives, right? But we're playing a game, and people think it's just real life. You know? That's where the mental fuckery, you know, took people. So again, it's about exposing the lie that we live, which is that we don't live in a heliocentric model. Resources are not, you know, scarce. You know, they're not running out. You know, so once people realize these things, then we can move forward, you know, because we cannot move forward if people can't even comprehend the most fundamental things about this reality, right? If people can't comprehend the most simplest things about this reality, then we can move forward to more complicated things. Like, if you can't accept simple facts, how can we come to an agreement when it comes to ideas of living? If you deny simple facts about this reality, how can we come to an agreement, you know, of how we can better, you know, society for everyone, you know? When you don't even trust your own common sense, it's impossible. You know, it's not, it just wouldn't work. So, let's see if there's anything in the chat. Marky, it's very rare that I get to catch one of your lives. Hopefully some people speak to you. No, yeah, hopefully. There was 3 students that were passing by, and they were already walking towards the table. But I don't know what happened. They literally just turned around, like, last minute. And it was a for sure conversation that was about to happen. But again, maybe they're running late to class. Again, this is finals week, so, you know, I did come knowing that, you know, that most students were going to be stressed out about that, and, you know, they're going to be just mainly focused on that. So I knew the risks coming out. Motionless heads are the most annoying. Claim to be wiser but cannot comprehend the experiments when shown. I agree. Willful ignorance, exactly, Andrew. It's just basically what it comes down to. Again, willful ignorance. People prefer their comforting lie. You know, people would rather have a comforting lie than the ugly truth, and that is sadly an ugly truth in itself. That people would rather have a comforting lie than the ugly truth. You know, I don't know why. You know, I guess this brings comfort. The same reason why people buy into religions, right? It's like it's a comfort blanket, right? I mean, I don't see any other explanation. No. You picked it up and gave it energy. I know. That shit is crazy. Oh yeah, you pick it up. You gave it potential energy now. You give it exact amount of energy that it needs to accelerate down. Like, you somehow transferred your chi to it, and somehow that energy now gets converted into some kind of thrust, right? And is able to accelerate down somehow. Like, what the fuck? That shit is crazy. Belief is the enemy of truth, exactly. And that's why when it comes to you know, objective facts about this reality, of any objective questions about this reality, is the best place to be is to not have beliefs about anything objective. You know, it's okay to say you don't know. If you don't know, then you don't know. That's it. Don't start believing things, especially if it's about objective reality. Don't just start believing things that you can't verify for yourself. That's how you fall into cults. That's how you get brainwashed. So why the hell would anybody do that, right? But that's where, in my opinion, these like fucking gurus, flat earth gurus online are there to like show you the way of the sheep, right? That's what they do. They just show you the way of the sheep. They give you a little bit of critical thinking, a little bit of truth, but at the same time still brainwashing you to maintain that sheep mentality. So that's all what's happening with these mainstream flat earth channels. They're giving you a little truth while at the same time keeping you dumbed down, keeping you a sheep. Because that's the whole point of these mainstream flat earth channels. It's just there to keep people dumb still. And to give the illusion that you've discovered something, when in reality you're believing the exact same thing as the globe. So a little weird, but yeah, people are okay with it. It's weird, you know. Let me see. do a live discussion with Professor Bart. Okay, I don't know who that is. What's up, Euclid's Bendy Water, Angela, Realm Walker. Who else joined? Nibbles. What's up? Yeah, I think that's it for the most part. Hi, William and Chad. Hope all are well. In my experience, everyone is living in their little bubbles. Getting everyone on the same page on even the basic of our reality is nearly impossible. No, yeah. It's just because that's like the power of propaganda too, you know, and the media and, you know, and entertainment, you know, I hate to say it. And it's just a very powerful tool. You know, media in general is a very powerful tool. And that's why where you put your attention matters, you know, because if you're putting your attention in, you know, just entertainment and just, you know, mainstream media, then you're not going to be able to, you know, have a thought, you know, for yourself. You're not going to be able to think for yourself because they're doing all the thinking for you. They're feeding you all this information, right? And that's how they're keeping you in that little bubble that they want to keep you in. So people think that they're staying in their own little bubble that they created. The irony is that the mainstream media is creating these little bubbles and people are just, you know, putting themselves in these little bubbles, right? So again, the more attention people put into these like nonsense topics, for example, without actually thinking for yourself, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get just fed information and you're just not gonna think for yourself. You know, you're just gonna accept things that are told to you by an expert, and that's what we find ourselves in. That's how people operate nowadays, right? So to try and get people along the same page when it comes to physical reality, it's gonna be nearly impossible. It seems nearly impossible because again, everybody's just too focused on the wrong things, you know. And yeah, that's the power of media, you know, and the mainstream media in general that's able to reach millions of people, you know, in an instant, you know. So not only that, they have celebrities, they have these like fucking public figures that influence people as well. So not only are they utilizing money as a tool, they're utilizing these characters, these personas to sway people as well. So it's like, it's crazy, like the amount of like not only censoring, but the amount of propaganda and the amount of bullshit that's out there, you know, to keep people distracted. Because again, they don't want people to come together on a common fact, for example. Because then now people are going to start demanding answers. They're going to start asking real questions, and they're going to start to realize that this whole system is just a shit show. Once people realize that, what's going to happen? People are going to start to do their own thing. People are going to start to form their own communities and start focusing on what's really needed and the real necessities, you know. And the government doesn't want that. They want control of the populace, of the population. You know, they don't want people doing things, you know, on their own. They want people to rely on government. Because now we can control you. If you rely on us, now we can control you. So that's what it's about, you know, at the end of the day. I try to plant seeds where possible, but you can see that the minds are not fully engaged and quickly fall back into social programming norms. Yeah, unfortunately that does happen a lot. Again, people are literally like conditioned and are just too comfortable too in their position too. It's another thing. So it's like a defense mechanism too, on top of all that, you know, to run away from subjects or facts that contradict your current beliefs, you know. So it's exactly how like Christians and any like a religious person out there would act when shown evidence that contradicts their belief. They'll just completely disengage, put up a wall, and walk away, you know. And that's exactly what we see with global earthers. You know, they have the exact same mentality, you know, and way of thinking, even though they think they're being scientific, right? But yet when confronted with facts that contradicts their beliefs, which they'll admit are our beliefs, and they place trust, but when shown evidence that contradicts that, you know, just like a religious person, they're gonna completely put up a wall and walk away and just be in denial, right? Which Again, that's why the globe Earth is a religion. It's a system that's based on faith. It's a control system that's based on faith. So if that's not a religion, I don't know what is. You know. Oh my God, an hour in and no conversations. Not good, not good. We'll see. I'm gonna have to start inviting people over right now. If anybody makes eye contact, I'm gonna invite them over and see how it goes. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you. Boom me, what's up? No, yeah, Euclid. So really, it is just a form of social engineering they are subjected to without any discernment. Individual discernment is the key to all of this, in my opinion. Yeah, pretty much. Having your own discernment. Again, not placing trust in others. Understanding things for yourself. Trusting your own common sense. You know, all of these things, you know, is what's required, you know, to move forward, you know. So, yeah. Oof. Okay, I think I have two. Maybe not. Damn it. Did you see the big earthquake in Japan? I think earthquakes seem to be only time we see sideways motion of the earth. What's up, man?
What's your deal?
So I have two multiple choice questions just to see if students trust their common sense. So you want to give it a shot real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Very easy. So this first question, I have 3 box trucks. And they all have an apple hanging from a string, and they're all on a level surface. The truck is completely sealed as well, just to...
Okay.
The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
I'd go with B.
Yes. How did you know it's B?
Because there's no momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty easy, yeah. So which one's accelerating forward?
I would say A.
Yes. How did you know it was A?
Because when you accelerate forward, the movement's going to get displaced back because of inertia.
Yes, displacement. So acceleration will always cause displacement because of inertia. Exactly, you got it. Pretty good. So the second one, pretty similar, but instead of an apple, it's a helium balloon. So everything's the same, but it's just a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, and it's for the exact same reason as the first. Exactly. Which one's accelerating forward?
I'm trying to see if there's a trick here, but I would assume it's A.
So your final answer is A?
I think it's going to be C, but I don't have the explanation for C, so I'm curious why.
Okay, that was honest. It is C.
Yeah.
So the reason why it's C is 2 reasons. So first reason is helium is less dense than air. So that's the first reason. The second reason is a force. So a buoyant object like helium balloon will always get pushed in the direction of the force. For example...
it makes sense, yeah.
Yes.
Because the air is heavier than the helium.
Yes.
So then it's going to be pushed back. So it's the same inertial force. It's just because it's lighter than the outside pressure. Yeah, I got it.
So what happens, because the air inside of the truck is trapped inside. So when you accelerate the truck, the back of the wall pushes the air in that same direction through space. And because air is more dense than helium, he's able to push it in that same direction.
Right. Another way to say it would be if the apple was lighter than the air, the same force would happen.
Yes, if the apple was lighter, then the apple will go forward, not back. Exactly, because that's what buoyancy is. It's a chain reaction of a force. Because without a force, you don't get motion of the helium balloon. It stays, parallel. So here's the thing. I can show you those physics here. So this is a buoyant object inside of water.
Sure.
So based on the principles of buoyancy, if I apply a force in this direction, what direction will the ball swing?
The same principle would go that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's buoyancy. It's a chain reaction of a force. So perfect. So I actually recreated this experiment myself inside of a cargo van, and I wanted to show you. So to really test your common sense with this one, I want to see if you can tell me what direction I accelerated the van here, for example. To the right or to the left?
You're moving that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. How did you know?
Well, I'm assuming that this is heavier than the air.
Yeah.
And that's a helium balloon.
And that's a
so
helium
you would
balloon.
see-
Exactly. So you get that displacement even
100%.
when there's a force. Exactly.
100%.
So again, buoyancy always follows the direction of the force.
Yeah.
So here's my last question.
Okay.
If I have a helium balloon here on Earth, right? Because helium is buoyant. If I release it, what direction does it go?
Well, it goes up. away
Yes.
from gravity,
So there's
yeah.
2 reasons why it goes up. Why do you think it goes up? What are the 2 reasons?
Well, if the air around it is heavier than the balloon is going to be getting displaced up.
Okay, that's the first reason. So there's a density difference. What's the second reason?
The second reason of the car was, I don't know the theory behind it, but it's the second thing you said on the car, where the, what do you call it? The
It's
displacement
a
force?
force.
Yeah.
You need a force.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to be
Right.
able to push the air, and then the air was able to push the helium
Yeah.
because it was being pushed as
So
well.
gravity's creating the force.
So my question
Yeah,
to you is, what's creating the force here on Earth physically to be able to push up the air to be able to push up the helium?
Well, gravity, if it's pulling the air down harder.
But if gravity's pulling the air down, how is the air able to push the helium up? Because the air has.
displacement, because the air's coming down, the helium's out in the air, so it's the.
So you
helium
think
rises.
that air is being pulled down, but somehow the air is able to push helium in the opposite direction the air is being pulled? So that's like you believing that if I push the air in this direction, the helium balloon will go in the opposite direction.
Ah, clever.
That doesn't make sense, right? So I don't know if you knew, gravity as a pulling force is just a theory. So a pulling force of gravity has never been measured or detected. And the reason why is because the force of the Earth is actually a push, not a pull. So the Earth right now is not pulling you towards it, it's actually pushing up against you. And that exact same motion of the Earth moving up is what's pushing up the air, creating the air pressure here on Earth. And that's how helium is able to rise, because the air is being pushed up as well through space.
Heard.
So the Earth is basically not pulling you down, it's pushing up against you. And that's what gravity is a push of the Earth.
Is that like a peer-reviewed theory, or is that like a
It's
theory?
not a peer-reviewed theory because it's not a theory, it's physics.
Got it.
So it's something that's not
it's-
being
it's-
talked about.
Is it accepted as truth
Yes.
in general?
Have you heard of the normal force of the Earth?
I'm a poli-sci major.
Okay,
this is
so
not
the
my
normal
field.
force, you can look it up, it is acknowledged,
Cool.
and that's the only force of the Earth that exists. It's an upwards push. So they claim that gravity is a pulling force, but that pulling force of gravity has never been detected or measured. So here's what happens. When you release an object into free fall, like this, the object doesn't accelerate down to the Earth, it's the Earth that's moving up to catch up to the object. So because everything's in upwards motion right now. So here's the real reason why I'm doing this, before I go further. You believe the Earth is a globe, obviously, right?
Ah, you're a flat earther.
No.
I was trying
No.
to figure out the angle.
No. I'm not a flat earther.
That was the.
I'm not a flat earther.
Okay.
So you believe the Earth is a globe. Let's take it step by step.
Yes.
So on a globe Earth,
This is great. I was so curious what the angle was. Okay.
so on a globe Earth, you accept that up is relative on a ball, right? If you're on a ball, up is relative. In other words, if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is this way.
Sure.
So every direction away from the center will be up on the ball, right? If we could physically prove that the Earth is pushing up and not pulling us down, and buoyancy shows us that there's a physical interaction of the Earth pushing up that's creating buoyancy. If we could prove that gravity is a push and not a pull, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
the same way the universe is constantly expanding out.
My point is, if the ground is literally moving up through space relative to us when we release an object, for example, if you release an object here, right, the Earth is moving up to it instead.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that.
Okay. But let's say we could physically prove, how would that work from a globe? If we could prove that the ground is moving up and objects don't move down.
Yeah, I don't think that we can prove that the ground.
No, but let's say hypothetically, if we could prove that the ground is moving up,
Sure.
will that work from a globe or would it not work from a globe?
I could see a world where it would work.
How will it work from a globe? I guess that's my question.
If positionality is all relative, then I could understand that. In the same way the universe is expanding out and things.
Okay, so that, I'm glad you used the word expand. So the only way that the Earth pushing up will work from a globe Earth perspective if it's expanding. So the Earth will have to be growing. That's the only way it will be able to push up in every direction away from the center, which would just explode, which wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that it's actually a pushing force of the Earth, then the whole heliocentric model falls apart. Because they rely on the theory of gravity. Well, mainstream scientists, government, because they're the ones that are pushing the curriculum of the globe Earth, which is just a concept, by the way. The globe Earth is not scientific.
Right.
It's just a concept. Yeah. And again, gravity being a pushing force is the #1 proof that debunks the globe, because without a pulling force of gravity, the Earth would just expand and explode. So they require people to believe that you get pulled down to the Earth.
I'll bring it back.
Yes.
That's all reliant on your theory of gravity.
Yes, theory of gravity. I'm already called it a theory.
So.
Because it's not real. The normal
no,
force
no,
of the Earth.
Your theory of
No. My theory of gravity is called the normal force, which is a real force.
Sure.
Buoyancy is a real force.
I mean, I'm sure that all works.
Yeah. You can look up buoyancy. It's an upwards
I
push.
believe you, but I would just point out the whole theory of the globe Earth that you're positing, which is that it can't be a globe because of the theory of the push of gravity, is all a prerequisite, or the prerequisite of all of that is your specific theory of gravity.
I would say it's the other way around.
My point is that there's a contention, and then you're saying, for the sake of argument, let's say that gravity is a pushing force.
Sure.
Well, but that's the whole
Okay,
premise.
hypothetically, I was just trying to get you to accept that a pushing force wouldn't work from a globe, right? Now we could go back and prove that it is a pushing force. You want to know how we could prove it?
The same thing we just
So
did.
there's two. So this way with buoyancy, and there's another way. So you have a smartphone, obviously, right? I would assume. So I don't know if you knew, every one smartphone has a built-in accelerometer inside.
Okay.
So that's why you're able to put it in portrait and landscape, and it switches relative to because it detects the vertical force of the Earth, right? So an accelerometer is a force detection device, right? It detects acceleration. So if you have this accelerometer app on your phone and you accelerate it from being at rest, in any direction, you're going to get displacements, which is going to show an increase in force,
Sure.
right? Because acceleration causes displacement 100% of the time. However, if I take that accelerometer and release it into free fall, that accelerometer goes from 1G to 0G. It measures zero force in free fall because it's not being accelerated now. So you can do this test with your accelerometer and your
I
phone
would
any day,
posit
anytime.
that might be a quirk of the accelerometer and the force being applied more so than it being the most accurate reading of what's happening.
So
I really do wish that I studied physics,
Sure.
because I'm sure there's a great answer to this. I am sadly not
But
scientifically astute.
what I'm showing here is pretty
to
much,
argue
it's
that.
elementary physics that anyone can understand. A child can understand these principles, but
What
what
I
we're being
found-
told contradicts these principles.
So I don't study physics.
Sure.
But what I've found in my field is every time someone says that it's an elementary understanding that can get you to reach simple conclusions,
Yeah.
it is always more complicated than that. No matter what.
If they're trying to lie to you, yes. I'm not trying to lie to you. I'm just giving it straight up.
Hot kettle jokes apply. I think that in general,
Yes.
the lack of appreciation for nuance and complexity
Yes.
is a big challenge in our science. And so what I would say is, instead of doing a balloon test and a buoyancy test, if you came with a paper with some equations with some hard proofs,
Well, I can put
think
all these
that
into
would be-
equations.
That would be much more convincing.
Equations
I think.
come from reality, from testing reality. So I can easily come up with equations from all these physical tests because physical comes first,
I'm
and then
sure.
the numbers come after.
All I'm saying is I think it might behoove your argument to get into the halls of academia and duke it out here.
Well, that's why I'm here, But here, let me ask you this before
I
you
gotta
go.
go to class. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, all right. I was gonna ask you why you believe the Earth, but why you believe the Earth is a ball, but damn. Anyway, just science. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was about to ask him why he believes in the globe Earth, and his answer was science. Peer-reviewed science, to be exact. That went really good. I really like his energy. I really like his. And again, most people are, a lot of times when people come to the table, they're literally just like emotionless, like literally just emotionless, like, So when people actually show some emotion, it shows some humanity at least, right? You're at least showing some emotion, right? And in my opinion, that's always a good thing. Even if you get mad, even if that still shows some emotion, meaning that this topic it piques some interest in you, right? For you to show some emotion, whether positive or negative, in my opinion, showing emotion shows a peak in interest, so, some interest at least, right? So yeah, it went good, really good. He understood. He actually understood, buoyancy and what's required for the air, because he even understood that. Well, if gravity's pulling the air down, how can it push helium up if the air's moving down? That would mean that that would mean you will get the opposite effect here. That if you accelerate forward right here, the balloon will go back in the opposite direction. That's not what happens because helium is less dense. It's always going to get pushed in the same direction the air is moving, regardless. So if air is moving down because of gravity pulling it down, then the helium balloon should be stuck on the floor. Why? Because the air is more dense and the air is being pushed down. So therefore, the air should be able to push a helium balloon down. The air should be stuck on the floor. If gravity was a pulling force of the Earth, helium balloons will get stuck to the floor. Right? But that's not what we experience. We experience helium balloons rise because they're being pushed by the air, which is being pushed by the Earth. It's a chain reaction of a force. It's a chain reaction of matter in motion. Earth itself is matter, and it's an upwards motion. It's pushing the air, which is also matter, in the same direction. And therefore, air, being more dense than helium, is able to push helium in the same direction that everything is moving. That's the direction of the vector here on Earth, is up. Everything's moving up. You can't have things moving up and then things moving down at the same time. That's retarded. That's fucking retarded to believe that, oh, there's a force pushing an air bubble up in water, and there's another force pulling steel balls down, and this force is the same force, but it's acting against itself, and it's able to push matter in opposite directions at the same time. And what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's literally where we're at right now, and it's fucking mind-boggling. Like, you know, it's crazy. It's the literal definition of crazy, you know? If I could come up with a better... Can't come up with a better definition of crazy, you know? But again, people overlook the simplicity of what's required for buoyancy in favor of his bias, you know? And that is 99% of the population that believe in the globe Earth, or a stationary flat Earth too. 99% are gonna have that kind of mentality, you know? They're gonna have a bias. There's gonna be a very small minority of people that might not have a bias and just accept it for what it is. That percent might be lower. It might be like 90, 10, right? Because I do come across a lot of people that at least seem open-minded, are not married to the globe. You know, 1 out of 10 people that I talk to, I would say, are a bit open, right? They're not married to the globe. But the majority, 9 out of 10 people are. You know, 9 out of 10 people do have a bias, and they'll defend that bias, you know. Tooth and nail. Oh man. See this? He was looking. I literally thought it was gonna be cloudy. That's another thing. That's why I brought a long sleeve and a sweater and everything. And I'm fucking sweating right now. Again, I just thought it was gonna be cloudy, but nah. Literally clear skies. There's a fucking chemtrail fucking airplane over there, but for the most part, it's clear skies. Look at this. Beautiful skies. You can see that. Oh man, can you guys even see that? Look at that. Clear skies, you know, bright blue skies, no haze whatsoever. But yet, there's a fucking airplane already spraying our skies over there. Fucking bullshit. You know? Yeah, we're the ones that have to fucking breathe all that nonsense. We're the ones that have to deal with that fucking artificial overcast. Like, you know, it's just polluting the air, you know, as it is, you know. We don't have like the best food here as well to eat. Fucking the vegetables, the fruit sucks. Most of the food's processed, so you know, we're congested as it is, so we can't even breathe properly. And then they're still fucking spraying our fucking air, making it even harder to breathe. So it's like no wonder people can't even have like proper health, you know. We can't even breathe fucking normally, you know. So it's fucking crazy, man. I can accelerate forward and backwards at the same time. Peer review science. Yeah, that was yeah, he ran away. Like, he didn't even give me a chance to ask him. But I mean, I enjoyed that one. It was good. Yeah, maybe I should have wore a hat at least, huh? Maybe get a little shade like this. There we go, you see? Should have had a hat. Maybe next time. I don't like wearing hats though, so I don't know. that works though. When I was presented with the Earth topic and the basic facts of physical reality, I never challenged it, as I knew internally the answers were already there. I never put it all together. Was gonna give it a shot? So 2 very easy multiple choice questions to see if you guys trust your common sense.
I don't.
So here I have 3 box trucks, and they're completely sealed, and they're all on a level surface.
Correct.
They all have an apple hanging from a string as well.
Okay.
The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B?
Yes. So how did you know it was B?
Because
It's straight.
Yeah, it's not moving.
Right.
Yeah, there's no relative motion. So which one's accelerating forward?
The A is,
Okay.
no, C is accelerating
No, I think
in
A.
reverse.
A is, but
No,
he
but
has
forward. Which one's accelerating forward?
Oh, A.
Yeah, it is A. So how did you know it was A?
Because it's going backwards.
Yeah.
What's going backwards?
The tennis
The
ball
apple.
going backwards.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
So the apple is being left behind
Yeah.
due to inertia.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you get displacement of the apple.
Yeah.
All right, you got it. So perfect. So the second one,
Fail.
pretty similar. You know, everything's the same. The only difference is instead of an apple is a helium balloon. Helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B. So?
Okay. Which one's accelerating forward?
Forward would be, I think forward would be A.
A?
Because helium always goes opposite of.
I'm live right now. Check it out.
All right.
You sure? All right.
Helium always
I feel
goes,
like it's
goes
C.
away from natural gravity.
Wait. So you think which one's accelerating forward?
A.
A.
I thought it
Okay.
was C.
It is C. Do you know why it's C, or is it just a guess?
No, I feel like there was like a reasoning because of the
Oh, it
helium,
goes
but
with- it
I
goes
forgot.
with.
Yeah,
Yeah, it goes with.
with.
Exactly. So buoyancy, helium balloon will always get pushed in the same direction as the applied force because it's less dense than the air that surrounds it. So whatever direction the air is being pushed, that's the same direction that the helium balloon is going to go as well.
Right.
Yeah, because it's less dense than the apple, for example, which goes the opposite.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that is what's happening.
I would argue the
Yes.
helium balloon is moving forward because the air, if this truck is moving that way,
Yes.
the air in this truck is being pushed backwards because
How-
of inertia.
But how is the air being pushed backwards when the back of the air inside of the truck is trapped? So if you move the
UCLA
container, look, just
I'm poli sci. This
no,
is
no,
my field.
let's
Look,
let's use this container.
No, we already did
It's
that.
the, it's the same thing.
So if the air,
camera, I want to see that.
all right. So if the air is pushing
I already spoke to him.
backwards
He left, but he
and
came
the
back.
helium is coming forward. The helium is less dense than the air around it.
Yeah.
So as the air rushes back, the helium moves forward.
Right.
In the same way, if you release a helium balloon, the balloon's going to go up because
Okay.
the pulling force of gravity is going to be bringing
Okay.
the heavier air down.
Let me ask you this.
and bring the helium balloon up.
Let me ask
Solved
you.
it. Got it.
Okay, now you're
Yeah.
gonna run away. Okay, so here is a container filled with water, right?
Right.
The water's more dense than this ball. This ball has air in it, so it's
Right.
less dense. So when I move the container in this direction through space,
Right.
what direction do you think the ball's gonna swing?
It's gonna go back that way.
No, it's gonna go with it because it's less dense. You see?
Okay,
So
right.
buoyancy always gets pushed in the same direction as the applied force. Because when I move this container filled with water this way, the water inside the container is also moving this way through space. You know? Like that. You see that? So because the water is more dense than the ball, it's able to push it in the same direction. He's trying to tell you the opposite. I don't know why. When reality shows literally it gets pushed in the same direction because it's less dense. So here's the real reason why I'm doing this. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth, and we understand that it follows the direction of the force, if I release it, what direction does it go?
Goes with.
It goes up,
Yeah,
right? Why do you guys think it goes up?
because the air rises, heat rises, no?
Well, yeah, heat rises because it's being pushed by the more dense air underneath.
Right.
So the air cannot push itself, obviously. Here, the truck created the force to push the air to be able to push up a helium balloon. What's creating the force here on Earth to push the air up to be able to push up a helium balloon?
Gravity.
Gravity, exactly. But gravity as a pulling force doesn't exist. So the air's not being pulled down, the air's being pushed up. So the Earth is applying a push on you right now. It's not pulling you down. So the Earth is literally moving up through space right now. It's literally pushing up, and that's what gravity is a push of the Earth, not a pull.
Oh, I guess
And
I do got common
yeah,
sense.
here, you could take this information. I didn't really get to the topic, but the main topic that I talked to, it's in there.
Thank you.
And you guys take care, man. Appreciate it. Dude, that guy came back heated. The other guy, the other guy that just came back and just inverted the explanation with the truck and then ran away. Oh my god, he was heated. He was heated. Oh my god. He didn't even give me a chance to like explain. Like he was trying to say, oh, the air moves forward. And I don't even know what the hell he was saying. Like the air has inertia, so like I don't even know what he was trying to say. He was just trying to give the globe earth explanation, how buoyancy goes in the opposite direction of gravity, right? So yeah, that was pretty funny. Again, this topic just triggers people, you know, it's crazy. I hate to say that the second conversation, it's kind of a good thing that I came back, because it wasn't really gonna go, that conversation really wasn't really gonna go nowhere, I think, the second one. So that's why it's a good thing it was cut short. You know, you could feel it, you know, in people's attention, in people's reaction, in people's eyes. You could see it in people's eyes, like if they're interested in the topic or not. You know, you can literally see it, you know, in their face. So obviously the first conversation and the guy coming back just shows that obviously this topic did push some buttons, at least, right? So pretty funny. I know. That guy ran away and prepared what he thought was a mic drop argument, came back and ran away from getting destroyed again. Oh, that was funny. No, yeah. That's exactly what happened. The simplicity stumps them, I know. He literally said if it's too simple, then it's usually more complicated than it seems. And I was like, well, yeah, if they're trying to lie to you, then yeah, they're gonna overcomplicate the simplicity of things. Yeah, that's exactly what the system has done to us. They overcomplicated the simplicity of this reality. And yeah, people think that nothing could be simple anymore. You know, crazy, pretty crazy. The cog dissonance ego will do that to these believers, exactly. You need a white scientist overcoat. I know. The system has taught them it must be complicated and difficult to comprehend, right? It has to be uncomprehendable to be able to be comprehensible. In order for you to comprehend it, you can't comprehend it, right? It needs to be uncomprehendable in order for you to be able to comprehend it, you know? And that's just the way it is, right? It kind of reminds me of that video that I showed of the guy trying to explain quantum physics, right? The teacher is like, right now, I'm the only one, this is the teacher, right? Right now, I'm the only one that doesn't understand quantum physics. But at the end of this class, at the end in 2 weeks or whatever, 4 weeks, all of you are not going to understand what quantum physics is. Crazy. Dude came back to get smacked again. If it isn't complicated, then it must be nonsense. Oh man. Oh man. Come on. One more conversation. Come on. Exactly, and some super brained scientists just know all of the answers. Ask these people if they can name any scientist without Google. The response is always hilarious. The regurgitation reward scheme really messes with most people's heads. Oh yeah, the regurgitation reward. Yeah. It starts in kindergarten, huh? With gold stars. Literally, it literally starts with gold stars in kindergarten, and then it changes to grades, right? To A plus, and you get a B and C and D and F, right? You get your little grading, your little reward system too, right there. So yeah, it's crazy how the conditioning starts literally as soon as you enter a classroom. There they have the globe, and also again, they literally just start teaching you what to think opposed to how to think. You know, and again, they do it with this reward system to kind of give some incentive, right? So that, you know, if it makes them feel a little better, right? Getting a reward, right? So again, it's just a little incentive, right? To make sure that this information gets drilled in there, you know? This false information, right? Oh my God, please don't overheat on me, man. Sup, ramen? If it's simply comprehended, it must be nonsense. Oh man. What's up, flat smacking? Alright, let's see if we could get one more. Damn, it kind of sucks that guy came back when there was already people talking to me. It would have been better if he came back with nobody talking. Yeah, fucking sun's annoying. It's in my, kind of irritating my eyes. I'm at UCLA today, Andrew. UCLA, yeah. Since it is finals week here at UCLA and UCR and USC, I think. I wanted to go where it was gonna be mostly crowded because I wanted to go to UCR, but I had a feeling that it was gonna be kind of empty over there, so I decided to come here instead. So yeah, let's see how it goes. had one good conversation already. Hopefully we could get one more. That'll be cool. But we'll see. We'll see. We got like about 25 minutes left before I call it, so hopefully. I'm playing my little tiny violin for you and your sunburned eyes. For me, for me. All this sunlight, can't take it. We don't know what we put up with. What you put? No, yeah, I bet it'd be hell if it was raining all the time and cold. Yeah. Oh yeah. 6-month life swap. Six-month life swap, but during the summer. That way it's not so bad, huh? Out there. Yeah, I'm gonna need to go back to that explanation he was giving with when the guy came back with the heat. I'm still trying to like comprehend what he could have said. Like I'm gonna need to listen to his explanation again because I'm like mind fucked right now. Like I don't know what he was saying to say that the helium balloon goes forward because the air is moving in the opposite direction, I think he said. But then I told him, but the air is trapped inside of the truck, the box truck. That's the whole point. You know, if you move the box truck, the air that's inside the box truck is also going to be forced or pushed in the same direction the box truck's moving. So how can the air move in the opposite direction if it's being moved in the forward direction? So like, in your mind, it's moving the opposite direction and the helium balloon goes, I'm assuming that's what he said. I mean, that's the only conclusion that I could come up with, but yeah, it was crazy. Oof. Come on. And what sucks too with that conversation with the first guy, is that in his head I'm a flat earther. You know, I didn't even get to the point to explain the difference between, you know, flat Earth and level Earth, right? Again, he didn't even give me the chance to even, you know, to explain that, you know, how I'm not a flat Earth. So in his head, he spoke to a flat Earther, you know, a crazy flat Earther, right? So, you know, so the fact that he didn't take a flyer either, like, yeah, he's just gonna live in willful ignorance now at that point, you know. Pretty crazy. Oh man, come on, hopefully I get one more. People are in a trance. It's called programming for a reason. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, she got all foggy out of nowhere. I think because of the construction right here. Got a dust in the air now. Oh, fuck. God damn, the sun's getting warmer now. Son of a gun. Good thing I'm not gonna be here for that much longer. Oof. Yeah, I think getting people to understand that an upwards push of the Earth or an upwards motion of the Earth won't work from a globe Earth perspective. I think it's key. Getting people to at least acknowledge that. That's why with the first conversation I had, he was like, "Oh, but I don't agree the Earth is pushing up, right?" And so I was like, "Okay, you don't agree with it. I understand that, right? I get you don't agree with it, obviously. But hypothetically, right? So I said hypothetically, because I want you to see how the upwards motion of the Earth debunks the globe, right? So hypothetically, you know, if the Earth is moving up, the ground's moving up, right? How would that work from a globe, right? Getting people to understand that it won't work from a globe, right? It's key in my opinion, because then you can go back and show like, okay, once you understand that, you know, that wouldn't work from a globe Earth if the Earth is pushing instead of pulling, then we can go into depth, you know, into these experiments that show that there is an upwards force and not an outwards force, that the vector is up, right? Because again, once you get them to understand that, then once we dive in deep into these topics and these demonstrations and these, then it's going to be easier for them to, see the bigger picture, and why it's relevant. In other words, because a lot of people would, well, okay, it's an upwards push, right? Oh, damn, it's cool, right? Oh, I never thought of it that way, right? But they don't really put two and two together, most of the time. So getting people to understand the relevance of understanding that the Earth is pushing and not pulling, it's key, which comes with, again, understanding that an upwards push of the Earth wouldn't work from a globe Earth model. So again, that's just my opinion, obviously, but it seems, that seems to really, get people thinking, but yeah. I've been trying to wake people up since Where Did the Towers Go? I've been insanely unsuccessful. Oh yeah, so yeah, I wasn't really into conspiracies, growing up, so I never really talked about 9/11 or any other. I didn't even really get into them. I just went along to get along. I guess you could say I just believed the mainstream stories. It was a shape of the Earth topic that got my attention. That was the first conspiracy that I looked into, right? Luckily, it was the only conspiracy that can actually be proven as fact, because it has to do with physics. So I'm glad that this was my first thing to look into, because in my opinion it's the most important. So I avoided all the nonsense, in my opinion. So yeah, because again, this is a topic that can easily be demonstrated. It can be proven, physically. Where other conspiracies like JFK and the Twin Towers, those conspiracies cannot be proven. We don't have time machines to be able to go back to that time and place to be able to prove what really went on. We don't have access to the deals that were made, if so, people conspiring with others, and how exactly it was. Nobody will ever know. You can never prove that. It's irrelevant. It's in history now. It's his story now. So to place any relevance in these conspiracy theories, right? To me, it's a waste of time. It's not going to change anything about the present or the future. It's just going into pointless rabbit holes for no reason, So it's no given to me that they're trying to lump this topic of the shape of the Earth with all other conspiracy theories, because that's how they're able to keep people away from this topic. Because now, okay, that is lumped in with conspiracy theories, so it must be nonsense as well, right? So it's just a tactic that's used as well. But again, there's a difference between the shape of the Earth topic being a conspiracy fact because it can be proven physically, and these other conspiracies about 9/11, which are conspiracy theories because we can only theorize what happened. We don't know exactly what happened, so it becomes irrelevant. Again, it doesn't really change anything, in my opinion, other than that it does expose government as a fraud, which you don't need 9/11 to know that. I mean, people know the government, for the most part, are just there to control people, or there to take advantage of people. I mean, people know this. They don't have to believe in 9/11 to understand that governments are there to just control people, right? Well, at least most of the people, right? So if you think that, exposing 9/11, it's important because it exposes the government, it is not required. It's not required. The governments are fucking us left, right, and center. Obviously, it doesn't take a genius to realize that. So jumping into these conspiracy theories is completely irrelevant and a waste of fucking time. So that's that. It looks like there's three coming. Hopefully, yep. We'll see if they turn. They're turning around. Oh my god. Okay, I think they're coming. Hey, what's up? You guys want to give it a shot? Yeah. Quick. Waiting for one more?
How long does this take?
5 minutes, so less.
You gotta guess.
Just 2 multiple choice questions. So here I have 3 box trucks and they're completely sealed.
Completely closed?
Yeah, so I have 3 box trucks here and they're completely sealed, and they all have an apple hanging from a string. They are all on a level surface as well. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Oh,
Okay, yeah. How did you know it was B?
because it's straight.
Yes, it's
and
not
there's
moving.
no backwards or
Exactly.
forward motion.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Which one's accelerating forward?
This one.
That one.
C.
No, that's reversing backwards.
C. It's going forward.
No, no. What truck is accelerating
Oh, this
forward?
one.
That one.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I told you.
Yeah, it is.
No.
It is A. So
Yo.
how did you know it's A?
Because
If it's moving forward,
then
everything
it's
will
going
push
to move
back.
back.
Yes,
Same
because of
thing.
inertia.
This one's
Yeah.
reversing, and that will go there.
Yes, you get the opposite
So I
effect.
got your next question.
Yeah, you got it. So the apple gets left behind pretty
Yo,
much
yo, yo.
because of inertia. Okay, one more.
Wait.
Okay, so this one, pretty similar. The only difference, instead of an apple, is a helium balloon. So out of these three, which
This
one?
one's at rest.
Yes, that's at
This
rest.
one is
Accelerating.
Accelerating.
What
No.
direction?
It's reversing.
So which one's accelerating forward
reversing
from
because
these
it's
two?
Yo.
You think this one's accelerating forward?
Yeah. Oh, wait, that whole.
No,
That's in the driving field.
This one's
C.
accelerating forward?
It's C.
How did you know this one's accelerating forward?
Because it's opposite compared to the question.
No, yeah, it is. So because it's a buoyant object. So there's two reasons why this one's accelerating forward. One is
Because
the
it follows
helium-
the motion.
Yes, buoyancy follows the motion of the force. In other words, because helium is less than air. When you accelerate the container in this direction, the air that's inside is able to push the helium
Yeah.
because the air is also
The air is
moving.
also- yeah.
Yes. So here I can show this example real quick with water and air ball. You know, so the ball is less dense than water. It's a buoyant object. If I accelerate this container in this direction, what direction will the ball go? Yes. It goes with the direction of the force because the medium that surrounds
helium.
it. No, this
Oh,
is
that's
air.
not helium, but that's helium.
But this is helium, yes. But it's the same
And that's
principles.
air and
in water.
non-air.
Yeah, but water is more dense than air.
Yeah.
So buoyancy will always follow the direction of the force. So let me ask you this. Look, I did this experiment in a cargo van. Where is it? Right here. And I want to see if you guys really trust your common sense now. So I have a helium balloon and an apple inside a cargo van. What direction did I accelerate?
Forward.
This way?
Yeah.
How did you know?
Because
the helium balloon.
Helium's going.
Exactly. So it shows you that the air is also being pushed in that direction through space because that's how the air is able to push the helium. So everything's moving in that
Did
direction.
it one in reverse?
Exactly. I actually did. There you go. It was opposite. You see that? So again, matter doesn't lie. If I was to tell you this is accelerating forward, obviously I'm lying, right? So again, one last question before you guys go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? Why does it go
I'll
up?
go any direction.
No, no.
I'll follow the air.
Because there's
Yeah.
no oxygen.
There's two reasons why a helium
Because
balloon rises.
Because there's no acceleration.
No, no, but a helium balloon is less. It's obviously less dense than air, right? So that's the first reason why a helium balloon rises. But what's the second reason? There's two reasons.
There's no object moving it.
The second reason is a force. So you need a force and you need a density difference. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air in this direction, which then pushed the helium in the same direction. Everything's moving in the same direction, right? What's generating the force here on Earth to be able to push up the air, to be able to push up the helium?
Gravity.
Yes, but what is gravity? How is gravity pushing up
It's
the
a
air?
force.
Gravity is a force.
Yeah, so you think that gravity's pulling the air down, but then the air is able to push helium up?
Yeah.
So the opposite direction the air is moving?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So
Yeah.
here's the thing. I don't know if you guys knew gravity as a pulling force is just a theory. So it has never been measured or detected.
So they're lying.
Yes, so the real force of the earth is a push.
Push.
So the earth is pushing up against you, not pulling you down. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The real reason why I'm doing this, before you guys go, real quick. You guys all believe the earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
You guys understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? Oh man. Hopefully the screen's not broken. Okay, real quick. You understand that on a ball, up is relative, right?
Yeah.
So if we could prove, because if you're standing here, up is this way. If you're standing down here, up is this way. If we could prove that the ground is pushing up and not pulling you down, how would that work from a globe?
No,
Here, your buddies are leaving you behind here. Let me give you my information. You guys can check it out. Here you go. Yeah. They had I thought it was just a random person that came, another lady, but it was like a student or a parent or something. But yeah, they had to go. Damn it, I didn't even get to the topic. You see, that's what kind of sucks about having these quick conversations, is that when you rush the conversation, it's like, it's not gonna go that good. It would have gone good if they had the time, because obviously they understood, you know, their attention was here and everything, but they just didn't have the time. Kind of sucks, but I did give them my flyer, so hopefully they look into it. And yeah, again, he completely accepted. Oh, so they're lying to us about the force of the earth being a pull. It's actually a push, right? And they completely understood the physics behind how we can prove that, right? The air's motion pushing the helium balloon. Again, it's a direct correlation to what buoyancy is, you know, what was required for buoyancy. So he completely understood that they inverted, you know, the pulling force of gravity instead of a pushing. But I didn't get to the point or the relevance that has. You know, what difference does it make that the Earth's force is a push or a pull, right? Most people, if you don't get to the reason why it matters, then most people are just gonna say like, oh, okay, it's a push instead of a pull, and that's it. Not think twice about it, and not even think about the significance that fact actually has, which debunks the entire heliocentric model. You know, that's the you know, that comes with that understanding. You know, but again, if you don't explain it to people, they won't put the pieces together. You know, because their mind's not there, you know, they're not thinking about it. So it's gonna require someone to like show them the simplicity of how things work and how, you know, how we debunk a globe, in other words, to be able to click for them, you know. Because again, their head's not in this. They're not really thinking about this practically, especially. They're thinking about this theoretically, you know, what they've been told, what's been said, what other people believe, you know. They're not really thinking about this practically, you know. So to show people the practicality of this and how it debunks their model, I think it's key. Because again, understanding the push of the Earth is just the first step. Understanding how it debunks the globe is the next step, you know. So understanding both of those things is going to be key, you know. But again, hopefully they look into it, you know. They seemed a bit more open than the average person, but again, I didn't get to the topic of the conversation, so I didn't really get to see how they were going to react, you know, to their beliefs being questioned. But yeah, it is what it is. And again, hopefully they look into it, and yeah, I mean, what else is there to say, right? I'm gonna wait another 10 minutes just to see if I could get one more, like 10 or 15, and if not, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Man, it sucks that they had to leave early. That would have been a good conversation. And that wasn't even like, that was way less than 5 minutes. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, the other guy, when the other two guys left, yeah, I didn't want to keep him. Yeah, he just had to go. Damn. What's up, John? John Rainback. John Rainback. Bach. That's Bach. Yeah, so like, hopefully get one more. We'll see. We'll see. Pretty dead, pretty dead. Alright, 5 more minutes. If nobody stops, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. So we'll see, we'll see. See if there's anything in the chat. Yeah, next time for sure, I'm gonna set it up on that side over there, where the other table's at, in that little walkway. I think that's gonna be the best spot, in my opinion. So we'll see. Take control of the narrative and steer it nowhere. Exactly. That's a whole flat Earth versus globe Earth right now debate. Taking over the topic and steering it nowhere. Just going in circles, right? Just literally just going in circles. Oh my god. Steering it to the nearest convention. Speaking of conventions, they didn't do the Cringe Fest this year, did they? I didn't hear anything about it. Right? And for those that didn't catch that, I meant the Flattoberfest, right? That's what they call it. I call it a Cringe Fest. But it doesn't seem like they had a little convention this year, huh? Flaticon. I've heard that they are merging it with the Bigfoot Fest. And the Loch Ness Monster one too, huh? Yeah, 3 of them. The Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Flat Earth Fest. Oh man. Alrighty. I'm gonna start putting stuff away. Kind of a slow day today, to be fair. That's what I expected. More people than I expected, though, that's for sure. I was expecting at least, for sure, like less than half of the students that I seen passing by. I thought it was gonna be way less empty. But I did know that it is finals week, so again, more students are gonna be stressed out about that, you know, focused on that. So yeah. For some reason, I noticed that the "Do you trust your common sense?" question doesn't really get as much as "Are you smarter than a 5th grader?" question. So far, you know, I've noticed that for some reason too. Again, it could just be random, you know, as well. But it's what it looks like. crazy. All summer, my camera didn't overheat. Yet, you know, it's almost winter here, and my camera overheated. The action camera. That's crazy. In the summer, it didn't overheat at all. And today it did. Weird. Alright, that's gonna be it for this one. Again, it was kind of a slow day today. I kind of expected that, but yeah, we'll see when I go live again. It might be until next year, just because there is winter break at the universities, so they're gonna be pretty much empty, probably for the second half of the month. So yeah. Gonna be it for this one. Again, thanks for everyone that shows up, that shares the videos, that likes the videos, and yeah, see you guys on the next one. Peace.